So today we're going to be going over how America changes from an agricultural to industrial society. So, inventions. Most important, electric lighting and mechanical uses of electricity by Thomas Edison. So what does that mean? It means even though electricity, as you'll have learned in science, is a natural resource, it naturally occurs. We don't create it's not man-made. Thomas Edison figured out how to harness it and use it to power machines, lights, etc. Then we have telephone service developed by Alexander Graham Bell. And our reasons for big business. Between the Civil War and World War I, the United States was transformed from an agricultural to an industrial nation. So that means we went from a nation of farmers to a nation of factory workers. So reasons for the rise and prosperity of big business, national markets created by advances in transportation. So now people in Pittsburgh could sell their steel to Los Angeles. Los Angeles can use that steel to make, chairs or fences and send it back up to, Spokane, Washington, back to St. Louis, up to Boston, all of that. So there's new places where people can sell and buy things. Then we also have the rise of advertising. So with these advances in transportation, more people have newspapers, and that's going to be our first print advertisement. We got Heinz 57 sauce. Henry Ford comes up with lower cost production with the assembly line, which means each person does one thing. Like in the car factory, one person puts on the tires, the next does the brake pads. They just do that one thing and it just goes down a line. We have our captains of industry, John D. Rockefeller with Standard Oil Company, Andrew Carnegie with the steel industry. And if you watch football, this will look very familiar to you. That's the Steelers logo, which is why the Pittsburgh Steelers are the Pittsburgh Steelers, because of how popular the steel industry was. Hold on, plug my computer. Okay, back to it. We have Cornelius Vanderbilt. So if you watch college football, you'll know Vanderbilt University. He was known for shipping and railroads. Factors resulting in growth of industry. So there was more access to raw materials and energy. So these trains not only could they send finished products, but they could send, different different natural resources like trees, rocks, or all of that to wherever it needed to go. And the availability of workforce due to immigration. So all these immigrants are providing people to actually work in the factories. We have our inventions like electricity and the phone. So you can call up your workers to work a shift if something happens, be like, hey, do you want extra hours? And now we have light inside so we can work in the night too. And all of these captains of industry, they had money. So they provided a lot of financial resources to build up these industries. So our examples of big business are railroads, steel, and oil. Here we have railroad tracks, oil fields, steel mills. How did this change life after the Civil War? So mechanization, which means replacing human labor with machines, reduced farm labor needs. So less people were needed to work on farms. And it increased production. Industrial development in cities created increased labor needs. So all these factories were now hiring the people who no longer had farm jobs. Industrialization provided access to consumer goods like mail order catalogs, the Amazon of the day. They'd order away, but it surely would not come in 2 days. No prime. So now we are going to go back to our independent questions. And answer these. So we're just going to use our slides to fill out these questions. So between the Civil War and World War I, the U.S. was transformed from an agricultural society to an industrial nation. So what created the rise in big business in late 1800s? Advances in transportation, advertising, lower production cost, increased workforce, all of those. So who was the oil captain industry? That is going to be John D. Rockefeller. Who emerged as the captain of the steel industry? Andrew Carnegie. Ignore this guy for now. That is not Henry Ford. That's J.P. Morgan. Henry Ford emerged as the captain of the auto industry. What are some examples of big business that emerged after the Civil War? Steel, oil, railroads. And that's it. Just hit submit now.